Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video on this channel. Today, like you read in the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite movie of all time, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I thought that a video like this would be the perfect way to kick off this channel, as it is my favorite movie and it's a movie that means a lot to me. Also, it's fall and it just made sense. I want to make it clear though that I am not a film expert. I am not an expert film critic. I don't even study film. I'm not a film student or anything like that. I'm simply someone who truly respects filmmaking, and I'm very interested in the filmmaking process, and I enjoy analyzing them and being able to pinpoint exactly why a film is able to affect me so much and other people. So yeah, not a film expert, but anyways, I'll just get right into it. So for anyone who's never heard of this movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox is a stop-motion film directed by Wes Anderson based on a book published in 1970 by British author Roald Dahl. It was released in 2009 and it features voice acting by George Clooney, Meryl Streep, and Jason Schwartzman, just to name a few. It's the story of Mr. Fox, a charming yet somewhat narcissistic husband and father who is basically going through a midlife crisis. Completely terrified of the idea of failure and losing what he believes is his respective image or personality, Mr. Fox goes to great lengths to relive his glory days as a clever thief. He steals from the three most dangerous farmers in town, and as a result puts his entire family and community of wild animals at risk. Now, Wes Anderson is notorious for his attention to detail and distinctive visuals. I mean, it's very obvious that he directed this film. But this was his first animated project. And because there are no limits to the things you can do when you're dealing with animation, the idea of having to handcraft every puppet, chair, mug, plate, and piece of clothing found in each and every scene could more than likely be extremely overwhelming. Still, he didn't shy away from it, but instead took full advantage of the control he was given with this new medium. From start to finish, the film is filled with stunning visuals and meticulously crafted sets. I mean, the fact that they built 120 sets from scratch, and that they even made miniature replicas of objects that they had found in Roald Dahl's house, I mean, it's just insane, and it goes to show the dedication they had to deliver such an eye-catching film. The warm tones and textures throughout every shot wrap you up like a cozy blanket. This entire movie keeps you toasty on a cold autumn day. As a visual artist myself, if I dare call myself that, I really admire the determination that they had to make such an intricate and such a rich environment. And yes, although the rolling hills, the golden lit cider bottles, and the cotton wool smoke clouds are a big reason for why I love this movie, they don't entirely explain why this film means so much to me. Filmmaking is storytelling, and when I was trying to put into words why I think that our favorite films or movies are our favorite movies or stories, I found that in general, most of us watch movies for three different reasons: entertainment, self-reflection, and/or education. These things do overlap at times, but for the most part, it's pretty difficult to find a movie that nails all three. Fantastic Mr. Fox executes all of them flawlessly. The tale of Mr. Fox is told in a way that is easy to grasp for anyone watching. Anderson added a few elements that were not in the book, but he still manages to keep the plot very simple. He never overcomplicated the story Roald Dahl had sought out to tell. Anderson and co-writer Noah Baumbach did an incredible job writing characters that not only moved the story along, but also had struggles and personalities of their own. Not only were the main characters entertaining, but also the supporting characters and even the antagonists. You learn a lot about each character during every interaction, and this develops a bond that maintains the viewer invested in the story. The film flows smoothly, gradually introducing more conflict until it's time for the characters to learn their final lesson. Within the dialogue, you can find Anderson's usual erratic lines of conversation, as well as the deadpan deliveries from the actors, which never fail to make you laugh or smile.
You're supposed to be my lab partner.
I
I am.
No, you're not. You're disloyal.
Music from the Beach Boys and compositions by Alexandre Plat, French guy's name, provide an exciting and triumphant atmosphere. All of the elements found in this film, from the visuals to the characters to the dialogue to the music and the handmade miniature wardrobe, make for an extremely entertaining and intriguing experience. Moving on to self-reflection. I'm sure someone said this before, but I truly believe that people watch movies to see themselves. The stories that impact you the most are the ones that hold a mirror up to your face and say, this story is about you. Now, as I already explained, Fantastic Mr. Fox is breathtaking. You simply can't look away. But the beautiful scenery is only there to serve as a backdrop to the themes that the film is actually trying to convey. It takes you into a different world and tells you the story of a character who is struggling with his own identity. The entire film brings up questions like,
who am I, Kylie?
And
I'm not different. Am I?
Mr. Fox is afraid. He doesn't know who he has become, and he doesn't like to think about the changes ahead of him. Even before all of these changes started happening, when Felicity, his wife, told him that she was pregnant, he was too afraid to admit that he was not as happy about the pregnancy as she was.
Honey, that's great news.
He's intelligent, charming, but also deeply insecure.
I think I have this thing where I need everybody to think I'm the greatest, the quote-unquote fantastic Mr. Fox. And if they aren't completely knocked out and dazzled and kind of intimidated by me, then I don't feel good about myself.
He's determined to live up to this persona that he's created, and the selfishness that comes with this is ultimately what causes Bogus, Bunce, and Bean to come after him and his family. Throughout the film, we see that Mr. Fox is seemingly afraid of wolves, stopping dead in his tracks every time anyone mentions them.
Nothing? Never mind.
But it's not necessarily of wolves that he is afraid of. We can see the wolf on all fours, wearing no clothes, without the knowledge of any language, completely and utterly free. The wolf represents that wild character, that freedom that Mr. Fox strives for, but that in the end he knows he will never be able to fully achieve. He is afraid of not living up to his reputation as Fantastic Mr. Fox. He wants to be like the wolf, but at the same time, he's too afraid to accept the fact that he's never going to be more than what he already is. Another character struggling with their identity is Ash. But while his dad is struggling to hold on to his old identity, Ash is trying to figure out what his identity is in the first place. Ash lives in his father's shadow. He is obsessed with the idea of becoming a great athlete, and he rejects anything that suggests that being an athlete might just not be for him.
Not to me. I prefer to be an athlete.
Ash also, like his father, makes impulsive decisions in an attempt to prove to himself or to others that he's capable. These choices often end up putting others in harm's way. Both are afraid of accepting who they are and who they are meant to be. So, you don't have to be a child only watching for the cool puppets on screen, or a middle-aged father going through a midlife crisis to understand this movie. All you have to be is a person who at some point has felt insecure, or someone who has struggled or is still struggling to figure out who they are and how they fit in this world. But what can we learn from this movie, and why do I say that it's educational? Well, in many ways, it teaches one very important and valuable lesson. Sometimes things don't get much better, and that's okay. Spoiler alert, but at the end of the film, Mr. Fox and his family aren't 100% in the clear. They're still in a hole and they're still in danger, yet the ending still feels like a victory. Mr. Fox has finally accepted himself for who he truly is. Not just a charismatic wild animal, he's more than that. He's a husband and a father. He is content because he is surrounded by the people he loves. He's grateful for what he has, and he has let go of the unrealistic expectations he had once set up for himself. The same goes for Ash. He accepts that he's different, and he no longer seeks approval from his father, as he now knows it was always something he already had. And I know that we're dealing with talking animals here, but it's because of this lesson that Fantastic Mr. Fox continues to be one of the most honest films I have ever seen. I couldn't have been any older than 11 or 12 when I first saw this movie, But I remember that after I finished watching it, I felt as if I had just discovered a message left specifically for me. By exposing me to these major themes, usually only catered to adults, it challenged me to think beyond the quirky songs and pretty colors. Again, love those pretty colors, but adults tend to underestimate kids a lot. So as a child, it was refreshing to watch a movie that expected more from me than just a few laughs and some wide-eyed reactions. But although most people view this film as a film made for children, I strongly believe that it's a film made for everyone. The truth is that the older I get, the more I understand why Mr. Fox put his fist in the air when he came face to face with the wolf, or why Felicity tells Mr. Fox that she loves him but that she should have never married him, or why the ending doesn't really provide the characters a solution to their troubles, and why that was done on purpose. Not everything we do has to be impressive. Not everything about our lives has to be interesting or entertaining. Your outlook on what success really means is what's going to determine whether or not you are truly happy. There are going to be times when you're going to feel like you're failing at being the best version of yourself. And that's because you probably are. That version of yourself doesn't exist for a reason, because who you are and what you have is already more than enough. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. I really, really appreciate it. Not that I can provide much of a new perspective, but being able to talk about art is very exciting for me, and hopefully it's something that I'll be able to do again in the future. Okay, that is it for this video. See you next time.